And here we go. Just when we think the Bears are out of the Maxx Crosby trade sweepstakes, apparently they are not out after all. We're going to dive into the latest on Crosby and him potentially getting traded from the Raiders, and that the Bears are apparently in the mix. This is Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. We are on to March, which means a new subscriber battle. I'm taking on Mitchell Renz and the Raiders reporting new subs this month, and so far we have a nice little lead 57-19. If you want free and daily Bears content, plus a live show later today at 4 o'clock Central Time, hit that subscribe button. With that being said, let's talk a little Maxx Crosby. Apparently, Maxx Crosby to the Bears is not dead yet, according to Sports Illustrated's Albert Breer, who wrote his Monday column for SI earlier today, saying a lot of stuff, but that, and most importantly, he thinks it's more likely than not the Raiders are going to end up trading Maxx Crosby, and he mentioned the Bears as a team that is, quote, keeping tabs on Las Vegas and Crosby. Here's what Breer had to say in full. He said, quote, "I'd lean toward a Maxx Crosby trade happening, and maybe this week, but there's going to have to be some needle threading. I don't think the Raiders want to go through the song and dance of shopping him, nor do I believe Crosby wants to advertise that he's looking for suitors. We should know soon enough which path the Raiders are taking with teams like Dallas, Chicago, Baltimore, Buffalo, New England, Philadelphia, and the Rams keeping tabs on his availability." And this continues to be an interesting saga from a Bears perspective, because there's been reports that the Bears are interested in him. There's been reports that they would not go down the path of trading for Maxx Crosby. For example, just 3 reporters here. Brad Biggs, local guy, says out, doesn't think the Bears will get involved in Maxx Crosby. Albert Breer, Jeremy Fowler have both said in. We mentioned last week, Jeremy Fowler told our very own Mitchell Renz, Raiders report at Chat Sports, that with no hesitation, Chicago is the first team he thinks would be interested if the Raiders made him available. Now, Biggs, local guy, does a really good job getting scoops from a local standpoint. That being said, Albert Breer, ever since Ryan Poles has been the GM of this team, I would argue he's been the most tapped-in national insider for the Chicago Bears. So I don't think he would just mention the Bears on his own. He's at least heard something that Chicago would have some level of interest in trading for Maxx Crosby, who is obviously a really good player. Now, he's been banged up some the last 2 years. He's currently rehabbing from a knee injury he suffered late in the year and had surgery for at the conclusion of the regular season. He's been posting updates. He's now off crutches, so he's been hitting the training hard and should be ready to go at least by training camp, if not for some of the earlier portions of the offseason program, which obviously would be nice. And obviously from a Bears perspective, we keep talking about this for a reason. They need dudes on defense. You get Maxx Crosby and pair him with Montez Sweat, you're feeling a lot better about your defensive line. That helps out your linebacker crew. That helps out your corners. They don't have to cover as long if a guy like Crosby can come after the quarterback. But like we've talked about all along, ultimately for me it comes down to this. How much do you have to give up for Maxx Crosby? So I'm going to ask you guys, what is the most you would trade for Maxx Crosby? Would you do 2 ones, as it's been reported they apparently want? I do not. I'll have some trade ideas later in the video. I do not offer 2 ones in any of those. Would you give up more than just 1 first-round pick? Let me know. Drop your trade ideas. Most you would give up for Maxx Crosby. I'm curious where you guys land. Now, another interesting angle here when it comes to the Bears and Raiders potentially wheeling and dealing is they are seemingly interested in some of the other Bears players that may or may not be available. We know Tremaine Edmunds is available, and the Raiders are reportedly interested in him. Gervon Dexter, Brad Biggs said today that the Bears are not going to trade him, but maybe they would include him in a trade for Maxx Crosby. Who knows? And then DJ Moore, there hasn't been as much public reporting that the Raiders would be interested, but I would have to think that adding him to help out a young quarterback in Fernando Mendoza is something that the Raiders would at least, be somewhat interested in doing. So coming up, here's what we're going to do. I've got 3 trade ideas between the Bears and Raiders for Maxx Crosby. Will involve each of the Bears players in what are those trades? One trade will have DJ Moore in it. One trade will have Tremaine Edmunds in it. One trade will have Gervon Dexter in it. We will get to that coming up here in just a moment. But before we continue with today's video, here is what I've been trading on Polymarket. If you go back, look at Chicago's Week 17 game against San Francisco, Polymarket was giving Chicago just a 39% chance to win that game, which at the time I thought was crazy, and seeing how it played out certainly was. They easily could have won that game. The value was so good. I definitely played the Bears at 39% to win because the payout would have been nice. 49ers defense was struggling, Chicago's offense was humming, and the Bears came up just one play short, unfortunately. For those reasons, I took Chicago at 39% to win that game. $100 would have won me $156 if Chicago took the dub, which, like I said, they fell just one play short. Plus, with Polymarket, you could trade in and out on momentum shifts without getting blocked or penalized. With in-game trading, once the Bears got up, I had the option to either ride it all the way out, or I could have sold early. For example, if you buy at 39% and sell at 55%, you can snag a cool $41 payout. You can't do this with the traditional sports books, so get started today. Polymarket is legal in all 50 states. Download the app right now to get to the top of the wait list. The only way to do that is by clicking my link in the description and comments of this video. Go check out Polymarket today. Okay, now I've got 3 Maxx Crosby trade ideas when it comes to the Chicago Bears. Trade idea number 1. This is kind of the one I've settled on for a while. 25th overall pick, a 4th round pick next year, and DJ Moore. Maybe I would go up to a 3rd. I don't think I would do a 1st and a 2nd. I definitely am not doing 2 1s. So this would kind of be what I would offer. If they squeezed a 3rd out of me next year, that I'd probably be willing to do that as well. But that's about the max I would do for this one. I mentioned a little bit ago, DJ Moore, his production is certainly diminished here a little bit. Crowded wide receiver room with Rome Odunze, Luther Burden, Colston Loveland descending obviously as well. But I think you put him with the team like the Raiders, Clint Kubiak, they don't have that true number 1 receiver. He could kind of just be that number 2 weapon behind Brock Bowers. I think that would work well. I think he would fit in and get more targets in that Raiders offense for Vegas. So, we've talked about why you would consider pivoting off of DJ. You save $16.5 million in salary cap space, and certainly if you're going to trade for Maxx Crosby, you're going to need to clear some money because you're about $5 or $6 million over the cap. Cutting DJ trims 16.5. You take on 30 with Max. You move Tremaine in another trade or cut him. You should be in a good spot to bring on Maxx Crosby if you are the Chicago Bears. Okay, trade idea number 2. Crosby to the Bears. 1st round pick this year. 3rd round pick next year in Tremaine Edmunds in this one. So I think DJ is worth a little more than Tremaine in a trade. So instead of giving him a 4th, I give him a 3rd here. Tremaine Edmunds goes as well. Was having a really good year before the injury. When he came back from the injury, didn't look like the same guy. I still like Tremaine, but at his number, obviously the Bears moving on makes a lot of sense. And there was a report over the weekend from Jeremy Fowler that the Raiders are interested in Tremaine Edmunds. Fowler went as far as saying is that Edmunds has, quote, strong trade value. Now, is that the Bears leaking that, or is that true? Could you get a decent return for Tremaine, or could you include him in a trade like this? We'll see. We'll find out in the next week or so. Okay, trade idea number 3. Maxx Crosby and a 6th this year, what the Bears currently don't have. They get a 6th back for a 1st, a 4th, and Gervon Dexter back to Las Vegas. I think getting a pick back here, considering Dexter is on a rookie contract and doesn't cost that much, I would like to get a pick back in a trade like this. To at least get you another dart on draft day. Brad Biggs throughout today, he does not think a Dexter trade is very likely since the Bears are already thin at that position. So take that for what it's worth. Doesn't mean they wouldn't consider including him in a trade like this, but I do think he's probably the least likely out of these 3 players to get dealt. As far as the Raiders go, they can absorb any of these guys. They could take on multiple of these guys. They have $89 million in cap space, which is second most in the NFL behind only the Tennessee Titans, who are also linked to Tremaine Edmunds, by the way. So, teams with a lot of cap, they might be more willing to bring on a DJ Moore contract or a Tremaine Edmunds contract because they can absorb that number and still have plenty of room to make other moves. So we'll see what happens here. Again, sounds like the Bears are at least somewhat still in the mix when it comes to Maxx Crosby. I'll say this. I kind of want this saga to just end. Raiders, either trade him or don't. right? Like, clock's ticking. Free agency gets going next week. These teams need to know if you're willing to move on from Maxx Crosby or not. If you're not, cool. Then let's make that clear so we can pivot to other options in terms of adding edge rusher talent. All right, do you want the Bears to trade for Maxx Crosby? Like, where are you at this point? Do you want him? Do you not? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Let me know down in the comment section below. My name is Harrison Graham. We will continue to monitor this situation, so hit that subscribe button. And, of course, we will be live this afternoon at 4 o'clock Central Time, so turn on those notifications. That way you don't miss our live show. We'll see you then. Bear down.